Alright guys, big welcome to you all to our channel. We are with another crushing guest video. As you can see, we're with Dominic Juan, and he was the Bushra Championship Series from Canada, Richmond. So today's video to talk about him, talk about his deck list and his matchups. So first, let's go to the top 8. So the first player was of course Dominic himself playing Spikes. Second was Grand Blue with Beskirk. Third was Royals, and then we got Aqua Force. And then the others from the top 8 were 2 Oracle Thinking players and 2 Bermuda Triangle players. So this was something that we talked about, and he actually didn't play Spike for a very long time, but he played not that of a hard build, let's say. So he actually traded one of his cards for the deck, and that was pretty funny. So it is the meme that he wanted to put right here. Then we come with the deck list. I didn't want to make a picture right here for deck list, which I normally do. This time I wanted to make it different because the deck list was already there on the website, so I thought it would be fun to do it like this for a change. So as you can see right here, we have of course the champion, which is Dominic. His deck list. Let's go for the grade 3 first. So he played 4 copies of Siegfried, 4 copies of Juggernaut Maximum. So the standard build with the strides. As you can see from the grade 2 lineup, 4-4-4, just perfect for Brackeys, for Panther, for a Spike Bouncer, which give you the edge in the early game, which you could have a very good early rush. And that's why when you play normally a G deck versus a standard deck, the standard deck actually is good playing against decks that uses strides because of the early game, and Spikes is one of the best decks in the early game because it generates advantage and generates high attacks. For the grade 1 lineup, we have 4 copies of Wonder Boy, 4 copies of Commander Gary Ken. For Dominic, the thing that he enjoyed the most with Spikes is the Juggernaut, Bracky and Wonder Boy, and of course Commander, because he said that he is very unlucky with triggers, and then with this deck his luck becomes better because of the cards that the deck puts back. You can put back triggers and you could take out your normal units. So he would definitely play 4-4-4. Then we have Commander Gary Cannon, which is one of the cards that also catch your units out of your deck and put the triggers back if you want them to. And then 2 copies of Goyo Slinger, as it's one of the cards that give you advantage with Agrius, and 3 Stride Folders, as you want to stride and sometimes you want to rewrite and then stride just to get more force markers. For the trigger lineup, he played 5 draws as he thought he liked the extra Linux, and he was right. 4 heals being Tiara heal because you don't play Jelly Beans. 1 of the new Mega Trainers because you don't want to abuse your counterblasts and there is no reason to search for something. And then of course he played 7 crits. So this is something that's very interesting. Normally you play at least 3 Mega Instructor as in your stand, which will extend your combo with Agrius. He didn't want to play that with his deck testing. He thought that the extra crits, and of course it's also more shield and more attacking value, he said that the extra crit helped him better because when you drive check the stand it does nothing, and the stands are good in your hand because you can put them on the field and attack multiple times with Agrius, and maybe when you go to Picaro then that could be good as well, but he didn't really rely on Picaro that much. So for his strides, as we can see right here, of course he played 4 copies of Agrius, it is the main go-to stride. 2 copies of Picaro because you have the space, why not? 1 Dust, again, 1 Hard 8 because it's one of the best cards in the whole game, and then 1 Sea Breeze and 1 Mirandol. For the G-Guards, 2 copies of Lioness as he was definitely not going for the Turbo GB8, 2 copies of Geese or Hecaton, and then 1 Desmiel. So it's pretty standard build as you can see, but the deck works pretty good as we have seen from the results. So my thoughts on the deck, well, I do admire his choices. I mean, he went with a plain easy using deck and he got pretty good results, amazing results. So I'm very happy with his achievement as he is himself. I hope that he will play more Spikes because Spikes is actually not his favorite deck, but He's waiting for Link Jokers because that's actually normally the deck that he would play. So we will see what the future will hold. Maybe he will keep spikes, maybe he will play something else in Morts, because of course he's the champion, so we will see him there. Next we have his matchups. We had, he had actually only 6 rounds in the Swiss, so the bike card works only in the first round. The second round he played against Anji. He played against a lot of Anjis, as you can see from here. He played against 3 Anji decks. He was able to win all of his matches, which is insanely good. The second and the third and the fourth round he played against Ichitom, as in this aggro build has a huge advantage versus Tom because you would destroy them from the minute that you could attack. And then for 5th round against Blasters, 6th round again against Anji, and in the top 8 he had to play against Anji as well, and then Blasters and then Baskirk. So it's pretty interesting that he was able to play against so much Ichitom and so much Anjis, and he destroyed them without having any problems. And then he had some hard matchup against Baskirk. Also, he said that he was a bit nervous playing the finals, but he won it, so pretty good. Again, we talked about the deck, and for his perspective, which is not a player that uses Spike that much, it was really nice to hear some of his thoughts on the strength of weaknesses. I cannot talk about all of his thoughts because the video will take too long, because I like speaking with people about spikes and talking about it, but I can't go into everything in the videos. So if you have some questions, you can ask me and I have no problems to answer them. But the strength of the deck, of course, the early game with the big numbers, the deck generates a lot of advantage and has a very strong early game. The numbers that you make in the early game, in the late game, or mid game, they're just too good, and they will destroy your opponent. Even if your opponent has like a 1G Guardian or 1 PG, it's not enough because you have a lot of strong attacks, and your opponent would have to be able to give up so much shield. With that, he will lose most of his favorite units, and that's when he will lose the game. One more thing is 1 counterblast is enough, as in the early game you sometimes use Spike Bouncer and later on you need 1 for Agrius, but that's actually it. You don't really need any more counterblasts to use your combos. Sometimes if you wanted to go to Picaro, you could do that as well, but normally you could go to Agrius twice, which Agrius generates more attacks. Of course, you have the deck thinning with Wonderboy, Braki, and Juggernaut, and General Siegfried if you use his skill. And of course, you have Commander Gary Cannon, and the 13k base being, of course, against Anji, against Gears. Being a Force Clan, you have the 13k base. Stride Zone. So that's also something very interesting. You could play a lot of different strides, because actually you only need the 4 Agrius, you need Hilliard 8, as he is your favorite stride. He didn't rely that much on Picaro, as you can see right here, but also the 2 Lioness helps you a lot, especially going into Hilliard 8 if you need to. The weaknesses of the deck. First of all, he talked about the mirror match. The mirror match, Spike versus Spike, he said it was a lot of stress, and that's why the picture right there. Another weakness of the deck is sometimes you check garbage, as they like to call it, like with Spike Bouncer, getting into triggers, getting into units that you don't want, getting into the grade 3s that you will have to put in the bottom of your deck, which you don't have in your hand. So sometimes you do have some messed up checks. Not many options if you have no counterblast. Yeah, I don't agree with this because my deck is different, but yeah, with his build, okay, I agree. You could go into a Mirandol, but that would leave you with a mediocre turn, and we all know that some decks could finish you off on the next turn, especially if you don't have that much defense in your hand, and Spike is not known about the best defense, especially not in a build that you can't search your heals or your PGs to your hand. Siegfried will almost never get the ability to hit. Yes, of course, especially against Protect clans, they will not let your Siegfried hit, and that would mean that you could not get the advantage. If they let him hit, then they're not that good of a player, and the most situation, and that would mean that you're not really in the tops yet, so then it would not make that big of a difference. Going second against Axel is bad. Well, yeah, I have to agree with that, because Axel could leave you with destroying your hand, and you need your favorite units to be able to have a good Agrius turn. You don't really need that much of a combo pieces, as the deck really works with everything it got, but at least having some Brachys or a Wonder Boy or a Juggernaut to be able to make some strong attacks is good. Next is, why does he like to play Vanguard? Well, we talked about the mechanics, like in Spikes, in his favorite clan, which is Link Joker as a Messiah, and there were a lot of things that he liked about the game in its mechanics, but also as in attacking or guarding and putting units on the field, the random element of surprise, or let's say luck, with the triggers and with adding the cards to your hand. Sometimes you have an unexpected outcome with, let's say, a miracle heal or a heal, and of course he likes the art. Very happy with that. So that was actually it. It was a faster video than normally, but I wanted to make more of these faster videos for you guys so you could enjoy it more. If you have any questions, you could definitely always ask us. I have gotten a lot of requests actually lately to do some different videos, especially on Spikes, but also some matchups for Standard. A lot of people are very hyped for Standard, and I have made this a multiple series for you guys on our channel, Crushing the Meta, of course. Also the new logo. A lot of people are very happy with the new logo, as it represents the clan more. But yeah, thanks all for watching. Thanks for the support and the love. We are getting a lot of new subscribers on YouTube, so we're very happy with that. And we have gotten also some huge let's say newcomers to our group on the Facebook. So stay tuned for more Crushing the Meta. Till next time.